to all of you, and in particular to my panelists. There are actually, they just disappeared. There were 3 pictures, but first of all, I would like to welcome Shabib AlMaamari from Visit Oman. The intention was to have Berthold Trenkel from Visit Qatar as well on the stage, but understandably, given the fact that the event is only 60 days away, he was not able to attend today in person. However, I have recorded an interview with him earlier this week, which we're going to record now and then lead over to a couple of questions and a discussion in reference to the surrounding countries and the impact on surrounding countries with Oman as the example.
Hello and welcome to the World Cup briefing, a transformational global event stimulating tourism initiative in the region session as part of the Future Hospitality Summit. I'm Martin Berlin and I'm leading the real estate and hospitality practice in the Middle East. And I have with me Berthold Trenkel, who is the COO of Visit Qatar, but I would like to give him the opportunity to briefly introduce himself.
Hello everyone, my name is Berthold Trenkel and I'm the CEO for Qatar Tourism. I've been in the tourism industry the last 5-6 years, and before that, always in travel and hospitality.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Berthold. What I would like to start with, we are only 64 days away from the opening of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Do you already feel the excitement of the event ramping up in Qatar?
Obviously, time is running now fast, and it will be in no time that actually the event will kick off on November 20. The excitement is building. The last one for me was the Super Cup that played in the Lusail Stadium. Probably you're aware the Lusail Stadium is where the final of the World Cup will play. The biggest stadium here in Qatar with 80,000 people. It was a good test with 77,000 visitors, so it was pretty much full, and it was an interesting experience. Myself, I went by public transportation. I used the metro, I walked, and I wanted to see what will the real experience be for a visitor who's coming to Qatar.
Yeah, basically looking forward to that experience myself. Having visited a number of World Cups before, I'm very much keen to visit the event in Qatar, which obviously is an event which is unique in terms of the density of the stadiums. Are there further events planned to increase the excitement in the ramp up to the event?
There's many events happening in the next few weeks. It's just one highlight will be the opening of the Lusail Boulevard, which is next to the Lusail Stadium. And Qatar Tourism, together with some other entities, will do a 3-day event ceremony, if you want, big public concert and so on, to run a test, if you want, for the Lusail Boulevard opening. And that's a great chance to simulate how it will be when you suddenly have 50,000, 100,000 people roaming the streets in a public event. Besides that, you will see many more events happening in other venues to test and to ramp up and get final ready for the big event in November.
Fantastic. Can you share a couple of key figures in terms of expected visitors during the World Cup? What is the expected hospitality sector performance and similar figures that give a good feeling of what size of the event actually is?
I think the simple metrics are expectation is that the event will drive 1 to 1.5 million visitors that will be staying in Qatar and that will be visiting Qatar. To give you a feeling for when it gets really busy, it's obviously at the start of the event when you have all the fans of the world congregating in Qatar to get ready. At the peak, that will mean we will have close to 100,000 people arriving per 24-hour period. And to support that volume, the old Doha International Airport has been rehabilitated, if you want, and will run in parallel to the HIA airport, which is also undergoing an expansion. So you will have 2 big airports running at maximum capacity, processing the inbound flow. Then you will have the second peak that is happening after the group stage, when unfortunately 16 out of the 32 teams will have to say goodbye. And with it comes not only the departure of the teams, but unfortunately also some of the fans who will decide that it's now time to go home. And then of course the final big wave will happen after the tournament, when everything is done, and we'll have a new FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 champion.
All right, in terms of revenues, I read in an article of the Arabian Business that this event is going to generate a revenue of $4 billion within that 4-week period of the event. What do you think is going to be the share for Qatar of this revenue?
I've seen other numbers, especially Hassan Al-Tawadi, who is the chairman of the Supreme Committee, who is in charge of organizing the tournament, who has much bigger numbers in terms of impact for the economy in Qatar. So I would rely on his forecast, which is much more substantive.
You said impact, and let me build on impact. What do you think or anticipate as the impact of the event on Qatar tourism, not only for the event, but longer term?
We are all about the long-term impact. It is about building a sustainable tourism business. Obviously, you have a number of drivers that have been accelerated with the World Cup. So one is the hotel capacity. There's obviously a rush this year to finalize a number of the hotel openings and be ready for the World Cup. Secondly, there is a project that has been running for many, many years, which is run by a committee, which is about the beautification of Doha. And a lot of the renovation works around downtown, around the Musharraf area, around the Souq Waqif, also the Corniche, have been completed or are in the process of completing as we speak. We also see a number of other developments finalizing things. If I look at Al-Maha Island, which is just behind the office, if I would look out behind my back, I can see every day the construction continuing, and their aim is to open just in advance of the World Cup. Or I look at another highlight, which has recently had the soft opening of Place Vendôme, which is one of the biggest, if not the best shopping mall in the Middle East, that is now operating and alive, and will be obviously looking forward to welcoming visitors during the FIFA World Cup. All this would not have happened in such a short time frame without that deadline of having to be ready for hosting the FIFA World Cup.
And it will obviously be used after the World Cup, and therefore build a legacy for Visit Qatar, right?
Correct. So that's why I'm saying I'm looking beyond the World Cup already. How do we leverage always the winter peak season that obviously is the important season for the Middle East, and how we build a bigger business that now people know about Qatar, and how do we leverage the 5 billion eyeballs that are estimated to be watching the tournament on TV and want to know more about the destination and what the destination has to offer.
In reference to the destination of Qatar, has the vision of Visit Qatar been influenced by the World Cup, and how has it had an impact, the event, an impact on the vision going forward for Visit Qatar? So
sports events in itself always play a major role for the state of Qatar. We have the Olympic Committee that obviously has their own agenda. We have the Supreme Committee that is in charge of delivering the tournament, but also is looking after the legacy. But at the end, tourism needs to be more than sports events. You can't build a sustainable tourism business only around big events. You need to have a seasonal business. And when I look at what Qatar has to offer, it is a number of core pillars that start with the basics like sun, sea, and sand, or what we call, for example, active holidays. And then, of course, we have all the visitors that are coming here because of the access to culture and heritage that Qatar has to offer, compared to some of the neighboring countries that might not have an offering that has the same depth and quality that Qatar has to offer.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for addressing all the questions in reference to the World Cup and Visit Qatar and the impact of the event on Visit Qatar. Obviously can't close the interview without asking you, who is your personal World Cup favorite?
Okay, so you want the official answer? Let's see. I've bought tickets for the German team, and I'm looking really forward to follow the German team through the tournament. But I wouldn't count out France, Spain, and Brazil. So I think between those four nations, we'll find a winner and a champion.
All right. Thank you very much for your insights, Berthold. And I wish the event itself, who I'm going to attend as well, all the best and a great success for Qatar. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
All right, that was the interview that I did with Berthold, and I think we can structure an entire panel of 2 hours around my last question, but we don't do that. What becomes obvious if you look at the Doha perspective, it's not only a Qatar event; it's becoming a regional event. The World Cup will impact the entire Middle East and the surrounding countries of Doha and Qatar. So how, Shabib, is Visit Oman preparing for this event? How will he benefit from it, and what is the infrastructure that you build to support that event in Doha?
I'd like to start by thanking you, Doctor, for having me part of this interesting discussion and panel. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, there was an announcement of satellite city that the Qataris with FIFA announced, and Muscat, Oman, was one of those satellite cities. But I assure you, the works for the World Cup started a year before that announcement. A team was put together last June by the government. Highest direction was do whatever it takes to support this universal celebration of sport. All the eyes of the world are focused on Doha, Qatar, and next November. And the question is, what does Oman have to offer to support the Qataris to celebrate World Cup? And to make sure that our guests, Qataris guests, have a fantastic experience when they visit the region, maybe for the first time. And been working hard with a lot of local suppliers. Part of what we do in Visit Oman, and we've been doing this for the past year, is to digitize the entire supply when it comes to travel and tourism in Oman. We have well over 50 airlines connected to the country, part of a digital platform that has a unique offering and a booking engine. And this is offer for trade. Under that also, we have well over 100 hotels with over 20,000 rooms to offer. But what's so unique also are the small and medium enterprises who are connected, the DMCs, and the small operators, the small families that host you. All of this now is digitized for the past year. It's packaged nicely, single element or an entire experience. And this has been offered to well over 30 countries through trade partners. They look at these products if they want to come to Oman. And there is this golden opportunity with the World Cup when they want to come to the other satellite city, Muscat. The question is, what are the guests going to do while they're not in Doha?
Correct, because they're going for a game, coming back, and then there's a 4 or 5 day break. So what can Oman offer, and what are you preparing to entertain or have them engaged in Oman?
What we've done is we've looked at the tourist, let's call them the fan journey, while they're in Doha and while they're out of Doha. And obviously, they need a very seamless experience while traveling from to Doha via Muscat. So a big partnership was announced between Qatar Airways and Oman Air to have a shuttle service that goes on average every hour to Doha. And you could literally stay in Muscat, travel to Doha, watch a game and come back on the same day. But it's not only the shuttle that we looked at. We looked at also the seamless experience at the airport itself. And now we have a very serious discussion between the two countries around what would it take to turn this shuttle service into a domestic flight. Meaning, When you leave Muscat, it's like traveling to another city in Oman, but in this case, you're going to Doha. While you're coming back...
Like a domestic flight.
Exactly, like a domestic flight. You don't need to go through the hassle of an international experience. And then once you land, we take care of you. What are the other elements that is required? So we looked at the network of ground services that is required for these fans, transfer from to the hotels, and we have vast options of hotels that fans can pick from. And then other than that, also we have other entertainment options for individuals. Part of our offering also, we looked at the persona of different individuals that will come to this celebration. And we thought, okay, if you're a German, you're focused on the German national team, you watch the first game and then you came back to Muscat. What are the different options that you would want to? One of the options you would want to switch off. And this is one of the packages that we've worked with our suppliers. You don't want to hear about other teams. You just want to have a relaxing moment. We have the beach, we have the ocean, we have the mountain, and we have the desert, all within an hour and a half of the capital area. And we have all the suppliers, all the ground handling services ready to take you. But if you want to continue the theme of the World Cup, part of our plan is to build one of the largest fan zone in the region, 9,000 square meter fan zone that will encompass many of the elements that you will see in Doha in the World Cup, and we'll try to mimic the experience of the World Cup, but in Muscat. This will be open to all of our guests, all of the fans of the World Cup, and you will have a fun environment. You can live the World Cup there. You can have entertainment. We'll have live entertainment. And then we have few surprises that we will announce really soon. As you know, Doctor, there are 6 days of off games. And we are theming those 6 days around different experiences. And then we're offering these experiences to the fan. Come to Muscat. Even if you're not staying in Muscat as a satellite city in your Doha, you still have that privilege of coming, experience something unique for a day, and you go back on the same day at the end of the day to Doha to continue your experience in the World Cup.
Fantastic. So a lot of initiatives that you have now put on the road in the build-up of the event, in the event itself. What is going to be sustainable? What is going to be like long-term influencing and impacting and benefiting the hospitality and tourism industry in Oman?
As you know, the region is still recovering from post-COVID, and we still don't see 2019 numbers happening this year, to be honest. So we looked at the World Cup as a starting point for a global destination market and digital campaign. We're launching this campaign in the next few weeks. There is a twist around World Cup. We're targeting the source markets that Oman Air flies to, but then we're going beyond and targeting new source market. This campaign will completely change immediately after the final game, and will focus on the value proposition of the destination Oman. What is Oman as a brand? What do we have to offer? As you know, from up north, down south, 3,000 kilometers of beach front. There are different experiences. You have the diving, you have the fishing, you have the beach, but also you have the hiking, you have the biking, and then you have the adventure, which is up and coming really fast in Oman. And then you have the nature, you have the culture. We need to speak about these offering to different segments, different markets, and we thought, what better of a starting point than the World Cup? The entire world eyes on Doha. Let's speak about Oman as an option. People might come because of the World Cup, but then our target is come back for your vacation, for your annual leave with your family. And here are the vast different options that you can experience if you come to Oman.
So you're using the event to further build the brand of Oman as a tourism country.
Yes, so we recognize that there is a big gap when it comes to defining what are we offering as a nation. People mix up different things about Oman, and I don't think we've done the best job in telling the world what are we offering. But now we're taking this opportunity to tell the rest of the world, come to Oman, experience authenticity, and look at a different experience from the region perspective, and experience what others have experienced in the region. But now we're going and speaking to the rest of the world.
Perfect. Shabib, thank you very much for the insight. Our time is unfortunately over, but I don't let you off the stage without the question of who's your personal favorite for the World Cup?
So I've been always a Brazil fan, but looking at the different teams, I think Germany has a very good chance in taking the World Cup this year.
Hopefully from my perspective. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you here on the panel. And if there are any questions, both of us are around for the day. Thank you.
Thank you.